Hey guys, welcome to the Helm. I'm Kovic.
And I'm Bruce Greene.
And today's a very sad day, so we're going to do kind of a somber story today.
Yeah, Nintendo announced on July 11th, 2015 that Nintendo President and CEO Satoru Iwata passed away due to a bile duct growth.
Now, like I say, normally we cram a bunch of stupid jokes in here, but we're going to be a little bit more serious because Iwata was a really awesome guy.
Yeah, he really was. You may only know him from Nintendo Direct, where Iwata please understood into all of our hearts, but he did so much more before that. So let's celebrate Iwata's life for a bit. Lawrence, go ahead, take it away.
Yeah, sure. Like every good game developer, he started early. Iwata reportedly wrote his first game for an HP calculator. It was a baseball game, and it used only numbers as display, and this was back in the early 80s, so he got an early start there. He then joined HAL Laboratory in 1983 with tech-minded friends he met studying at the Tokyo Institute of Technology. It's kind of a weird name, but apparently they named it that, so each letter would be one step ahead of IBM. That's kind of clever.
It sounds like HAL Laboratory operated like a typical startup. Iwata described his job there in saying, I was a programmer and an engineer and a designer, and I marketed our games. I also ordered food, and I helped clean up, and it was all great fun.
Boy, we know how that is, right?
Yeah.
HAL Laboratory didn't have many standout games in the early days, mostly doing contract work and arcade ports.
Right, but that changed in 1993 when HAL promoted Iwata to president of the company.
Right, under Iwata's leadership, HAL Laboratory became more closely tied to Nintendo and started developing more exclusive titles for Nintendo platform.
Iwata's run at HAL produced games like the original Kirby's Adventure and the 1999 breakout fighting game Super Smash Bros.
Wow, thanks to his success at HAL Laboratory, Iwata officially joined Nintendo in 2000 as head of corporate planning. Right, Lawrence?
Yeah, so even 2 years after that, he immediately became president of Nintendo.
Wow.
And that's kind of a big deal. So this narrative makes sense to Westerners, like a scrappy young dude, very precocious, starts his own company and then goes from there to be the president of a multinational corporation. That doesn't happen in Japan. Nintendo was run by the Yamauchi family for over a century. This company is 125 years old, and Iwata was the first one to run it that wasn't part of that dynasty family. So he broke trends in a lot of ways and found success because of that. It's kind of interesting.
So similar to his appointment at HAL, Iwata's stewardship of Nintendo came at the right time. Yeah. Nintendo was reeling from the GameCube's relative failure.
Yeah, Iwata wanted to drastically change the direction of the company, calling his philosophy lateral thinking with seasoned technology.
Yeah, it was very Western thinking, actually. Yeah. He wanted Nintendo to be a toy company, not a tech company, figuring that Nintendo, even with the healthy profits it had, couldn't compete with tech giants like Sony and the newcomer Microsoft.
Right, the Nintendo DS versus Sony PSP in 2004 was the first test of Iwata's philosophy. They debuted nearly side by side at E3 that year, where both gamers and investors laughed the DS out of the room.
Why did they laugh at it, Lawrence?
Well, it looked stupid. So 2004, even more so than now, everybody was obsessed with tech and like pushing things forward and things looking better and bigger and sleeker. And the DS was the opposite of all that. It was big and chunky. It looked like a toy. It was obviously underpowered. It had two screens, which I remember at the time saying, you can't look at both. This is stupid. It's a waste. And, you know, the DS went on to become nearly the best-selling console of all time, coming just shy of the PlayStation 2, actually. 154 million lifetime units.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, and it got there because it was different. It had unique software. It had stuff like Brain Age and Nintendogs, things that weren't really games. It got old people and middle-aged people playing games on handhelds.
Right.
So he found a new market. Pretty cool stuff.
So the same thing actually happened in 2005 when Iwata unveiled the Wii. This dinky, white, toy-looking console would go on to outsell the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360. No one saw that coming.
No, in fact, it almost doubled the sales of more powerful, more mature console platforms.
Prone to speaking philosophically about his business practices, Iwata described his approach during this phase as blue ocean.
Right, the implication being that Sony and Microsoft can fight and turn the water red, while Nintendo will look for the uncontested blue ocean.
Smart man.
Yeah.
As Iwata describes, this approach requires looking for something that no one else is working on. When we created the DS, people said it was strange to have a dual display, and people said elderly people don't play games. But they did. Yeah. Opening the first door is when things are most interesting.
Yeah, that same experimentation didn't find the same success with the 3DS and Wii U, though. The 3DS sold well, but didn't match the unprecedented success of the original DS.
Very hard to top. Yeah, the Wii U is mostly dead in the water at this point, and we know that they are working on their next console.
Of course. The company experienced a downturn that led to some unrest with investors, right, Lawrence?
Yeah, there were even some investors during some calls that would call for Iwata's resignation.
Wow.
But he would basically always say, listen, you got to chill out. This blue ocean approach is going to lead to some false starts, and that's what we have here. But it's through that experimentation that we can find the success that we've had in the past, and we'll get back there. That's what he promised. But even still, even if the hardware didn't quite turn out, Nintendo's software never really skipped a beat. Iwata's original company, HAL Laboratories, just released Super Smash Bros. Last year, and that was with Sora Limited and Bandai Namco, and that's awesome. And then even in this period, Nintendo released games like Pikmin 3, Super Mario 3D World, and Splatoon, which is an entirely new IP and an entirely new kind of game. So
Yeah. So, I mean, overall, the man had an amazing career, and the industry will miss him, and our hearts go out to his family and all his friends. But I think a good way to close this out is from Iwata's GDC 2005 keynote, saying, "On my business card, I am a corporate president. In my mind, I am a game developer, but in my heart, I am a gamer."
Right, so as gamers, we can't think of a better send-off than showing the games Iwata had a hand in creating.